Hi, welcome to this episode of The Latest Thread. And today we have a little kind of surprise for you. We are going to call this little segment Stencil Surprise. And we're not going to do it every week, but we're going to do it every so often. And it's going to be fun, I think. One of us picked a stencil and all four of us drew a different design on it. And we'll start with that. And then we'll share again later, because this is kind of a little sample of one of our favorite classes on Gammill Education called Start with a Stencil. So Sharon, if you want to share the blank stencil so they can all see it. So this is the blank stencil. I actually picked this one. This is Zion 15, and it's an 11-inch stencil. And the one thing I wanted to mention, when you're doing this kind of thing, you have to think about that. So 11 inches, it's not huge. You don't want to draw these big giant designs. You want to keep it kind of cohesive with the size and the density and all that. So if you're interested in this, it is available on quiltingstencils.com. That's the part number. And let's get started. I don't know who's first.
Okay, I guess that's mine. So, the whole idea about doing this stencil design demo thing is that when you look at a stencil, some of them are pretty plain, and the whole idea is trying to figure out, obviously I can stitch it the way it is intended, but the fun part is to add to it and totally change the look of it. So, in my case, as usual, when we do something like that, you start out with something and it's not what I want. But so I tried a few different things. And what I wanted to do, because it was the Zion or a star, I wanted to emphasize the star. And I chose to do pearls, pebbles, whatever you want to do it. Call it to emphasize the star. And then, of course, there's lots of options that you can play around with. I chose to do a spiral design in the inner diamonds. And the way I tried to do it, where I come back out to take me back to the star area, is that I can stitch that consecutively, which, when we try to come up with a quilting design, that should always be the goal. How can I stitch it without starting and stopping? So this design lends itself very nicely to stitch consecutively. So after I did the inner star diamonds and the pearls, then I was able to travel to the outside, and I marked the connecting lines to create additional diamond shapes. So essentially, I extended the stencil to fill it up more in the area that I wanted to quilt, and just continued on with another spiral design to make it look cohesive. And it almost, to me, looks like it's now a round design, roundish design, or it appears that way to me anyhow, with the star in the center. I again struggled with what to do on the outside. I tried to create another diamond shape on the corners, but it absolutely didn't work. I tried with echoing diagonal lines out, and that totally didn't work. So I ended up echoing in the top part around and adding more pearls, and then doing like matchstick quilting in the corners to really pop the design. On the bottom, you see that, I didn't do the pearls and just did the matchstick quilting, and that works too. So it all depends, whatever look you're going for, if it's more elegant or, not so much. So you have lots of choices. So that's my design.
You stayed really true to that center star, though. Yeah, I like it.
So, thank you.
And I like that balance between the pearls, which is very kind of elegant and pretty looking, and then those kind of funky spiraled in shapes. That's a little bit more kind of playful. I like the combination of that.
Thank you.
Ready to move on?
Sure.
Oh, that one's really tiny. Okay, give me a second.
Jody drew really small.
I didn't.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is mine. And I mean, for me, I like to really not try to stitch any of the lines of the stencil because I like to use it as really, I'm just looking for points in the stencil that I can connect some kind of way. And this one's great for that because there are a ton of points in there, you know, like if you stitch from one point to another to create whatever. So I used a curved ruler and just connected those outside points, the ends of each star thing to go around. And then I decided, oh, an echo would be good. And then in the center, because I used the curve on the outside, I decided to just kind of do that on the inside. So I was able to go to the center and stitch, you know, just using the point from the center, the point on the outside, like little star petal, whatever that is, and just kind of did a giant continuous curve thing. And then looked up and saw, oh, 11 inches. Yeah, that's kind of big. So then I filled that in and decided to just use the alternating ones as the more open thing, which then all of it could be done from the center, you know, like you go out and back and then do the swirlies to fill in. So on the outside, I like to put a frame and I wanted it to look like it went behind that. And then, I don't know, I mean, you could put any kind of fill in there. I just kind of scribbled to show that it's a fill. And I chose to use the same fill out there to make the whole thing cohesive because the same fill is inside. Yeah, I like this stencil. I need to get this one.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
Mm.
Well, and that's the whole idea behind it. Once you start to get going, you know, all of a sudden you realize, you know, and, you know, you actually can run it through your printer and print off, you know, the stencil and really play with some of those designs. Because once you get started, yeah, it's hard to stop.
It is.
I can really visualize this one without seeing the stencil in behind. It's nice.
Yeah, I like it because it's like a coloring book, you know, like
Yeah.
I can just
It's
play.
like it's like graph paper in shape form. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so I have to zoom all the way back out again in order to get to the next picture.
So this one's mine. And I do very similar. I use points of the stencil just to aim for. So I tried to stay a little bit true to that star, but not quite. And I did this totally continuous because that's like my goal with everything. Make it one continuous line unless I run out of bobbin, which that happens more often than not. It's like I can hear it rattle and I'm like, no, I'm gonna win, and I don't. But so I kind of just only did the center of the star on those short ones and then went to the outside line and then went all the way out to the corner with the longer ones. And then I just filled it with pebbles because they travel easy and I can cut through better. So that was it. Sweet and simple.
I always find it just, I love seeing, you know, like this. So 4 different people with the same thing and how different it can be.
Well, and it's also nice when, you know, you look at the difference in density between the designs we did, you know, because again, not only do you have choices in regards to designs, you have, you know, choices in regards how simple do you want to quilt it, obviously keeping the overall size in mind. But, you know, you don't have to do overkill necessarily, you know, you have options.
Well, like that, those areas of rest, there are super important you know, not just in texture, but in to keep your eye moving across that quilt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. I've been playing with Karen's mandala stencils lately. So I, of course, just kind of visualize this whole thing as like a flower or a mandala and kind of growing outward. And it's nice when you have a design like this where you have an even number of units because you can alternate easily. If you have an odd number, you can't always do one design and then a different one and back and forth and back and forth. So it's a nice opportunity to switch them up, something different in each spot. So I put a feather in one and then just a little pebble fill in the inside space, which gives a bit of rest in between the two spaces, because I'm thinking at an 11-inch, that's probably about a ½ inch space of openness in between that little tiny diamond. And then took the pebbles out. I actually didn't pebble them right away. I just made the arcs and then the kind of petals or leaves on the outside edges, and then thought, well, I could reuse some of the petals or the pebbles because it looked a little bit plain on the outside. So I made sure to leave a space in between on either side so that there would be texture and then not texture, and then so those have those different layers achieved. So yeah, it was fun. I think this was about the third attempt at a design on this stencil, and I was really happy with it. So it was fun
Very cool.
to play with. It was a good pick, Karen.
I'm always going to pick one that I want. I'm sorry, but
But you already have it, so you knew you wanted it to begin with, right? So maybe I'll move my share to the Gammill website.
yeah, because then we can share. We actually have a class called Start with a Stencil. And we each pick a design, pick a stencil, and all four of us do something very similar with this. But in the class, we talk you through the entire thought process while we're drawing. So, yeah.
So it's in here. There's some awesome classes.
Mhm.
Scroll all the way down right there.
There it is.
So that. There.
Yep. And there you, oh, it shows you the stencils we picked. Oh, see that?
Yeah, that was a fun one. I really enjoyed that class.
And you'd be surprised what we turn these stencils into. So
Mhm.
there's 4 stencils and 4 options of each. So 16 different ideas plus thought processes in this class. There's a lot of info in this class.
Yeah.
There is. And I think that for me, I always love to hear someone's thought process, because I
It's
just find
never
it.
what- yeah, oh, sorry. It's never.
Yeah,
what
I
you're
just think
thinking.
that it's amazing how differently, you come up with all those different designs and you think, oh, well, we just all like different things. But I think it's really more than that when you hear how someone talked through it, like, oh, well, I knew I couldn't fit this there. So I really like that.
Yeah. Well, see, it was going to be a short episode. I told you guys that. So, but well, we hope you enjoyed it, and we hope I think I don't know if we're going to put a printable with this or not, but if not, you can get this stencil, try it out, try a bunch of different designs, and see how far your little thought process takes you. And check out the class, because that's an awesome class.
And if you,
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, don't ever
Well, I was
apologize.
just gonna say that if you guys like this, then let us know in the comments, because we had a lot of fun doing it. So we'd be happy to do some more episodes like that.
Definitely. All right. So take care, and we will see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye.